James is a lonely orphan who lives with his two mean aunts, Spiker and Sponge. One day he finds these magical glowing things that an old man drops, and when they disappear into the ground near a peach tree, a giant peach grows. James crawls inside to hide, and that's where he meets a bunch of talking insects: Miss Spider, Grasshopper, Centipede, Earthworm, Ladybug, and Glowworm. Once the giant peach breaks free and rolls all the way to the ocean, things get really exciting and dangerous. First, they're initially floating along peacefully, but then they encounter sharks. A whole school of hungry sharks starts circling the peach, trying to take bites out of it. The peach begins to sink slowly because the sharks are gnawing at it. This is where the insect's cleverness comes in. Miss Spider suggests they use her incredibly strong silk to capture hundreds of seagulls. The idea is that if enough seagulls are attached to the peach, they can lift it out of the water and carry it through the air, escaping the sharks. So they all work together. Miss Spider spins vast amounts of silk. Centipede acts as bait to attract the gulls. James helps to tie the silk threads around the necks of the seagulls. It's a frantic and tense scene, but they succeed. Hundreds of seagulls are attached to the peach, and with a mighty pull, they lift it clear of the water, leaving the frustrated sharks behind. From then on, their journey continues through the air, pulled by the flock of birds high above the ocean. After the daring escape from the sharks, with the peach now soaring through the sky pulled by hundreds of seagulls, James and the insects enter a truly fantastical phase of their journey. They float high above the clouds, and it's up there that they encounter the cloudmen. These aren't just any clouds. These are strange, whimsical, and sometimes grumpy figures who are responsible for various weather phenomena. They're seen doing things like painting rainbows, creating hailstones, and blowing winds. The cloudmen aren't exactly friendly. When the quick-witted and often rude centipede starts mocking them and calling them names, the cloudmen get angry and begin to throw various objects at the peach. Things like hailstones and even a kind of misty, icy fog. The peach and its passengers have to maneuver to avoid these aerial attacks. Despite the danger, this part of the journey is also full of wonder. James and his friends get a unique view of the world from above, seeing the clouds and the earth spread out beneath them in incredible ways. Eventually, the peach continues its airborne journey, slowly making its way across the vast expanse of the world until they finally spot something truly recognizable in the distance: the iconic skyline of New York City. After being lifted into the air by the seagulls and having their encounters with the cloudmen, the peach continues its incredible journey across the sky. Eventually, the seagulls grow tired, and the peach begins to slowly descend. This descent culminates in a very dramatic landing in New York City. The giant peach doesn't just gently land, it crashes onto the very top of the Empire State Building. This, as you can imagine, causes an enormous commotion. People in New York are shocked and bewildered by the sight of a giant peach on top of one of their most famous landmarks. The crash attracts a huge crowd of onlookers, including reporters, police, and firefighters. James, emerging from the peach, is finally discovered by the bewildered New Yorkers. James's horrible aunts, Spiker and Sponge, even show up in New York, having somehow tracked James or heard about the giant peach. They try to claim James and the peach, but James, now brave and confident from his adventures, publicly exposes their cruelty. James and his insect friends become instant celebrities. They are interviewed by reporters, photographed, and become famous attractions. A new home. The most heartwarming part is that the peach itself, or specifically its pit, is eventually transformed into a permanent home for James and his insect friends in Central Park. They live happily ever after, with James finally having a loving family and a place where he belongs. Each of the insects finds their own purpose and fame in New York City, too. For example, Centipede becomes a mayoral candidate, and Grasshopper becomes a famous musician. It's a truly happy ending for James, who finally escapes his miserable life and finds adventure, friendship, and a loving home.